Before ghosts whispered our names and demons knocked on bedroom doors, something else was watching us from the stars. Tonight, we return to the era when fear came from the unknown sky above. When silence felt louder than screams. These classic alien horror films didn't just scare audiences, they changed how we look at the night. As we count down the movies that made us afraid to look up, ask yourself, what if we were never alone? If you enjoy this journey, hit like, share with fellow horror fans, and subscribe for more chilling stories beyond Earth. 1. Alien, 1979. A lone crew drifts through deep space. Unaware that one silent life form will turn their ship into a coffin, what would you do if escape was impossible? There are horror movies that scream at you, and then there is Alien. A film that simply breathes down your neck. From the moment the Nostromo awakens from hypersleep, you can feel it. Something is wrong. Even before anything actually happens. The ship isn't just a setting, it feels like a living organism itself. Dark corridors pulsing like veins. Shadows stretching longer than they should. And you, as the viewer, are already trapped inside with the crew. What makes Alien truly terrifying isn't how much it shows, but how much it refuses to. The creature hides. It listens. It waits. Every beep of the ship, every hiss of steam, every flicker of light becomes suspicious. You start scanning the screen the same way the characters do, wondering if the monster is already there, watching. Have you ever noticed how quiet this movie feels? That silence is deliberate. It gives your imagination room to betray you. Then there's the body reminder. Alien doesn't treat fear as something abstract, it makes it physical. The famous chestburster scene isn't just shocking, it rewires your sense of safety. After that moment, the human body itself feels vulnerable, like it's no longer fully yours. The alien doesn't just kill, it uses you. That idea lingers long after the scene ends. Be honest. Did you ever feel completely comfortable breathing during this movie? Sigourney Weaver's Ripley isn't introduced as a hero. She becomes one, slowly, naturally, through fear, doubt, and sheer survival instinct. That's why her presence feels so real. She reacts the way we might react, cautious, skeptical, increasingly desperate. When she runs, you feel your own pulse racing. When she hides, you want to hold your breath with her. Would you have followed protocol like Ripley did, or would panic have taken over? And the alien itself, cold, elegant, biomechanical, doesn't roar for attention. It doesn't need to. Its design feels unnatural in a way that unsettles you on a primal level. As if it doesn't belong to any known ecosystem. It's not evil. It's not angry. It's simply doing what it was made to do. And somehow, that makes it worse. Alien isn't just a movie about a monster in space. It's about isolation, vulnerability, and the fear of being hunted where no one can hear you scream. Even decades later, it still crawls under your skin. So let me ask you, did Alien scare you the first time you watched it? Or did it haunt you later, when the lights were off and the room was quiet? Share your experience in the comments, because fear, like space, is always better when it's shared. 2. Aliens, 1986. A rescue mission turns into a war for survival. But how do you fight an enemy that never stops hunting you? If Alien taught us how to fear the dark, Aliens teaches us how fear feels when it starts firing back. This time, the silence is broken by boots hitting metal floors, weapons clicking into place, and nervous jokes that sound a little too forced. From the very beginning, the film whispers a dangerous lie. Maybe this time, we're prepared, and that lie is exactly what makes everything that follows so terrifying. Ripley returns, older, harder, and carrying scars no one else can see. She doesn't just remember the alien, she knows it. When she warns the Marines, her fear clashes with their confidence. And as viewers, we're caught right in the middle. Haven't we all been there? Watching someone ignore a warning, knowing disaster is already inevitable. You want to shout at the screen, but you also want to see how bad it gets. And then it happens. The colony is silent. Too silent. As the squad moves deeper, the tension coils tighter and tighter, until the walls themselves seem alive. The aliens don't rush in screaming. They stalk, they surround, they drop from ceilings and rise from shadows, turning every corridor into a potential grave. The horror here isn't loneliness, it's overwhelming numbers. What's scarier than one monster? An entire hive that thinks as one. What makes Aliens unforgettable is how it blends terror with momentum. You barely have time to recover before the next wave hits. Your heart stays elevated, your nerves frayed, and suddenly you realize something chilling. Even with guns, even with armor, humans are still prey. Did you ever notice how quickly bravado disappears once the shooting starts? Confidence dies fast in that hive. Ripley's transformation reaches its peak here. She isn't just surviving anymore, she's protecting. Her bond with Newt adds an emotional core that cuts deeper than any alien claw. Fear becomes fuel, maternal instinct becomes a weapon. And when she steps back into the nest, you feel it. That mix of dread and determination that makes your chest tighten. Would you go back in, knowing what's waiting? And then there's the Queen. Bigger, smarter, furious, not a mindless beast, but a ruler defending her own. The final confrontation isn't just action, it's primal. Almost mythic. Two mothers, two species, one fight for survival. When it's over, you're exhausted, but you're still shaking. Aliens doesn't replace the horror of the original, it expands it. It asks a terrifying question. Even if we fight back, can we ever truly win? So tell me, do you prefer the quiet terror of Alien? Or the relentless nightmare of Aliens? And which moment made your pulse spike the hardest? Let's talk about it in the comments. 3. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. Your neighbor smiles the same. Speaks the same, but what if the person you trust most is already gone? This isn't the kind of alien horror that jumps out from the shadows. Invasion of the Body Snatchers crawls into your mind quietly, like a thought you can't shake. It begins with small things, strange glances, awkward pauses, loved ones who suddenly feel distant. At first, you might brush it off. Bad mood, stress, fatigue, but deep down, a question starts to echo. What if they're not themselves anymore? The brilliance of this film lies in how normal everything looks. The city still breathes, people still go to work, conversations still happen, and yet, something essential is missing. Emotion drains away, leaving behind hollow smiles and empty eyes. The aliens don't conquer with violence, they replace. They copy your face, your voice, your memories. Imagine waking up one day and realizing the person sleeping next to you is only pretending to be who they were. Would you scream, or would fear freeze you in place? As the paranoia spreads, you begin to doubt everyone, friends, coworkers, even yourself. The film forces you into the same mental trap as its characters. You start watching people's reactions, listening for cracks in their tone, searching for proof that they're still human. And here's the terrifying part. The movie never gives you certainty. You're constantly guessing. Isn't that exactly how real fear works? Donald Sutherland's performance pulls you deeper into this nightmare. His character isn't heroic or fearless, he's confused, desperate, and slowly unraveling. As the world around him loses its humanity, you feel his isolation growing heavier. There's no safe place left. Because safety depends on trust, and trust is the first thing this invasion destroys. Have you ever wondered how long you could pretend everything is normal if everyone else already has? The atmosphere is thick with dread. Streets feel colder, rooms feel emptier, even daylight offers no comfort. Unlike typical alien films, there's no dramatic showdown, no clear victory. Instead, the horror comes from inevitability. Sleep becomes dangerous. Exhaustion becomes a weakness. You can fight for a while, but how long can you stay awake before your body betrays you? And then comes the ending, sudden, cruel, unforgettable, a moment that punches you in the gut and leaves you staring at the screen in silence. It doesn't just scare you, it warns you. It suggests that resistance isn't always loud, and defeat doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes, it looks like everyone calmly moving on without you. Invasion of the Body Snatchers isn't about aliens from space. It's about losing identity, connection, and individuality. It asks a chilling question. If everyone around you changed overnight, how would you know you're the last one left? So tell me, which scares you more? Monsters that attack, or people who look exactly like us? Would you notice the difference in time? Share your thoughts below, and don't fall asleep just yet. 4. The Faculty, 1998. A normal high school day cracks open into paranoia, but if your teachers changed overnight, would you notice before it's too late? High school is already a place where you're watched, judged, and controlled, which makes the faculty such a wicked playground for alien horror. It starts innocently enough. Classrooms, lockers slamming, teachers barking orders, but then something shifts. Authority feels colder, smiles linger a second too long, and suddenly, the adults who are supposed to protect you feel like predators wearing familiar faces. Haven't we all had a teacher who felt off? What makes this film so effective is how quickly it pulls you into teenage suspicion. You remember that instinct, the sense that adults don't tell you everything, that rules hide darker motives. The faculty turns that feeling into a full-blown nightmare. One by one, teachers transform from strict to sinister, not through grand reveals, but through subtle changes in behavior. A tone shift, a stare held too long, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The students become our eyes and ears, scrambling to piece together what's happening before the school, and the town, is lost. Their fear feels raw and impulsive, driven by survival rather than heroics. There's no time to think, only to react, and that's where the tension thrives. Who can you trust when every authority figure might already be compromised? Would you believe your best friend, or suspect them first? Unlike cosmic sci-fi alien films, this story traps you in familiar hallways and fluorescent-lit rooms. The setting works against you. Classrooms become cages. The gym becomes a battleground. Even the nurse's office feels unsafe. The horror isn't hidden in darkness, it stands right in front of you, holding a clipboard and telling you to sit down. Isn't that more unsettling than monsters in the shadows? There's also a playful edge beneath the fear. The faculty understands teen rebellion and turns it into a weapon. Outsiders, misfits, and troublemakers, the ones usually ignored, become humanity's last line of defense. It's satisfying, but also ironic. The people society overlooks are the ones who notice something is wrong first. Have you ever wondered if being ignored actually makes you more observant? As the mystery unfolds, the paranoia intensifies. Every scene dares you to guess who's human and who's not. And just when you think you've figured it out, the film pulls the rug out from under you. Trust becomes dangerous. Hesitation becomes deadly. You're constantly leaning forward, waiting for the next betrayal. The faculty isn't just about aliens taking over a school. It's about losing control, questioning authority, and realizing that adulthood doesn't automatically mean safety. It asks a chilling question. If the people shaping your future were no longer human, how long would it take you to fight back? So tell me, which teacher would you suspect first? And would you have the courage to stand up when no one believes you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Class isn't over yet. 5. The Fourth Kind, 2009, Real Interviews, Lost Memories, and a chilling question. What if the nightmares you don't remember are the most important ones? Some horror films ask you to suspend disbelief. The Fourth Kind does the opposite. It dares you to believe. From its opening moments, it looks you straight in the eye and whispers something dangerous. This actually happened. And once that idea takes root, every scene feels heavier, more personal, more unsettling. You're not just watching a story unfold. You're being invited into a case file you were never meant to see. Set in the isolated town of Nome, Alaska, the film unfolds like a slow confession. People are losing time, waking up screaming, staring at owls outside their windows for reasons they can't explain. At first, it sounds almost harmless: stress, trauma, sleep disorders. Haven't we all dismissed strange experiences like that before? But as patterns emerge, denial becomes impossible. Something is visiting these people and taking pieces of them away. What makes The Fourth Kind so disturbing is its fractured reality. Reenactments bleed into supposed real footage. Therapy sessions collapse into hysteria. And truth becomes impossible to separate from fear. You start questioning not just the characters, but the film itself. Is this performance or evidence? And that uncertainty crawls under your skin. How do you protect yourself from something you can't even fully understand? The idea of alien abduction has always been terrifying. But here it's stripped of spectacle. No glowing ships, no dramatic chases, just bedrooms at night, frozen bodies, and voices that don't belong in human throats. The aliens aren't conquerors, they're observers, collectors, surgeons of the mind. They don't need permission. They don't leave memories behind. And that's the most horrifying thought of all. If it happened to you, would you even know? As the film descends deeper into darkness, fear becomes psychological rather than visual. Possession like trances, ancient languages, and uncontrollable terror blur the line between science fiction and something far older. Far more primal. You feel helpless, watching people unravel while authority figures fail to stop what's coming. It makes you wonder, when something operates beyond human logic, does resistance even matter? The ending doesn't offer comfort. There's no clean explanation, no sense of safety restored. Instead, you're left with unease, the kind that lingers when the screen goes black and the room suddenly feels too quiet. You might find yourself listening to the night sounds a little more closely, watching shadows linger a little longer, questioning memories you've never fully trusted. The fourth kind doesn't just scare you, it infects your imagination. It plants a thought you can't easily remove, that truth doesn't always reveal itself. And ignorance might be the only mercy we're given. So let me ask you, do you believe alien abductions are real, or does this movie make you afraid that they might be? And if you woke up tomorrow missing hours of your life, would you want the answers, or would you rather not know? Share your thoughts below, if you dare. 6. Dark Skies, 2013. A quiet family home becomes a hunting ground, but when the threat leaves no footprints, how do you prove you're not losing your mind? At first, Dark Skies feels almost gentle. Suburban streets, children's laughter, a family trying to hold itself together under everyday stress. That calm is important, because it gives you something to lose. The fear doesn't crash in, it seeps through the walls. One unexplained moment at a time. Lights flicker, alarms trigger for no reason. Objects move when no one is watching. You might tell yourself it's nothing, but how many nothings does it take before panic sets in? What makes this film so unsettling is how deeply personal it feels. This isn't a global invasion or a military disaster. It's a family being slowly isolated, not by distance, but by disbelief. When strange events begin targeting the children, the horror sharpens. Parents are supposed to protect, to explain, to fix things. But here, every answer leads to more questions. And when authority figures shrug and walk away, you feel the same helpless rage building inside. What would you do if no one believed your child was in danger? The aliens in Dark Skies are almost never seen, and that's the point. They don't announce themselves. They observe, they mark, they return. The film treats alien contact like a stalking case, turning bedrooms into unsafe spaces and nighttime into a recurring threat. Sleep becomes dangerous. Silence becomes suspicious. Have you ever noticed how terrifying it is when fear follows a routine? As the family's bond begins to strain, the emotional horror kicks in. Arguments replace comfort. Doubt replaces trust. Each character reacts differently: denial, obsession, terror, and you can feel the house cracking under the pressure. This is where the film truly excels. It understands that fear doesn't just come from monsters, but from watching loved ones change under stress. Would you hold your family closer, or push them away to protect them? There's a cold logic to the aliens' behavior that makes it worse. They aren't cruel in a human sense. They're methodical, scientific. Children are chosen not out of malice, but suitability, and that detachment is chilling. You're forced to confront an awful thought. To them, we aren't enemies, we're subjects. And subjects don't get a say. The final act strips away hope piece by piece. Not with spectacle, but with inevitability. No heroic rescue, no comforting explanation, just the realization that some forces operate beyond human rules. And love alone isn't always enough to stop them. When the screen fades, the fear doesn't end, it lingers in quiet rooms and dark hallways. Dark Skies asks a haunting question: if something took the people you love without leaving evidence, how far would you go to be believed? Would you fight louder? Or would fear eventually silence you? So tell me, did this film scare you because of the aliens, or because it felt like it could happen? And if your home stopped feeling safe, where would you run? Share your thoughts in the comments before night falls again. 7. Signs, 2002. Strange symbols appear overnight, but when the message comes from the sky, are we meant to run, or to listen? Signs doesn't rush toward fear. It lets fear walk slowly into your life. The way unsettling news does when you don't want to believe it. It begins with crops cut into impossible patterns, as if the land itself is trying to speak. No explosions, no armies, just a quiet rural town and a family already struggling with loss. From the very first scene, you can feel it. This story isn't really about aliens. It's about what happens when faith, reason, and fear collide. The beauty of Signs lies in its restraint. You don't see the invaders clearly. And when you do, it's brief, accidental, almost intrusive. A shadow passing, a figure frozen on a rooftop, a moment caught on shaky footage that makes your stomach drop. The film understands something essential about fear. The less you show, the more the audience fills in the gaps. And those gaps are terrifying. Be honest. Which scene made your heart stop without showing anything at all? At the center is a family fractured by tragedy. A former priest who no longer believes. Children who sense danger before adults do. A brother trying to hold everything together with humor and denial. As the signs multiply, the horror deepens, not because of what's happening outside, but because of what's unraveling inside this home. Fear doesn't scream here. It whispers during dinner conversations and lingers in silence after prayers that no one finishes. What makes the alien threat so effective is its intimacy. This isn't about governments or militaries. It's about boarding up windows, holding baseball bats in dark hallways, listening for footsteps in the cornfields at night. The invasion feels personal, like it chose you, and when danger finally steps into the house, the tension is unbearable. You're not thinking about the world anymore, only about survival. Would you hide, or would you fight for the people you love? There's also a deeper unease running through the film, the question of meaning. Are these events random, or part of something larger? Coincidence versus design, luck versus destiny. Signs dares to suggest that horror and hope might exist side by side. That what terrifies us could also reveal who we truly are when everything is stripped away. That idea lingers longer than any jump scare. The final moments don't feel like victory. They feel like understanding, like pieces finally clicking into place. Not to explain the universe, but to give one broken family a reason to keep going. It's quiet, emotional, unexpected, and that's why it stays with you. Signs isn't just about aliens watching us from above. It's about us watching the sky, wondering if someone is listening, or if we ever were. So let me ask you, did Signs scare you because of the aliens? Or because it made you question what you believe in? And when you see something you can't explain, do you look for fear, or for meaning? Share your thoughts below. The signs are already there. 8. They Live, 1988. A pair of sunglasses reveals the truth, but if seeing reality meant losing your peace forever, would you dare put them on? Some horror doesn't come from monsters chasing you in the dark. They Live unsettles you by asking a far more uncomfortable question. What if the world you trust is already a lie? From the moment our drifter protagonist stumbles into a city that feels indifferent and exhausted, you sense there's something rotten beneath the surface. Not screaming, not attacking, just quietly controlling. The film moves with deceptive simplicity. Streets are familiar. Billboards look normal. TV broadcasts hum in the background like white noise. And that's exactly why the discovery hits so hard. When the sunglasses come on, reality peels back like old paint, revealing commands hidden in plain sight. Obey. Consume. Stay asleep. It's not flashy horror, it's existential dread. Suddenly, you're forced to wonder how often you've walked past the truth without seeing it. What makes They Live so disturbing is how personal the awakening feels. Seeing the aliens doesn't empower the hero, it isolates him. The more he understands, the more alone he becomes. Friends don't want the truth. Strangers resent it. Comfort depends on ignorance. And knowledge turns you into a threat. Haven't you ever felt that way? Like noticing something wrong and realizing no one else wants to talk about it? The aliens themselves aren't wild creatures. They wear human faces, dress well, attend meetings, smile politely. That's the horror. They don't need chaos, they thrive on order. On systems, on routine. They rule not through terror, but through distraction and obedience. Watching this today feels unsettlingly familiar. Doesn't it? How many voices tell us what to buy, how to live, what to believe, all without raising suspicion? Then there's the famous alleyway fight. Brutal, excessive, almost absurdly long. But beneath the punches is something painfully human. The desperation to wake someone you care about. The hero isn't trying to win, he's trying to share the burden of truth. And the resistance he meets feels real. Because waking up isn't easy. It hurts. It costs you comfort. Would you fight that hard to open someone else's eyes, or would you rather let them sleep? John Carpenter wraps this nightmare in dark humor. But the message cuts deep. They Live suggests that the scariest invasions don't arrive from the sky, they blend into daily life. They become normal, invisible, accepted, and once you see them, there's no going back. You can't unsee the commands. You can't pretend anymore. By the end, you're not sure whether to laugh, rage, or sit quietly with the discomfort. The film doesn't offer easy answers. It just hands you the glasses and waits. So tell me, would you want to see the world as it really is? Even if it destroys your sense of peace? And if you already suspect something's wrong, are you brave enough to look closer? Share your thoughts below, but remember, once you see it, you can't unsee it. 9. Lifeforce, 1985. A space discovery unleashes a hunger that drains humanity itself. But what if the true invasion feeds on your soul? Not your body? There's something dangerously seductive about Lifeforce. It doesn't frighten you by hiding in shadows, it steps into the light and dares you to look away. From the first images of a derelict spacecraft drifting through space, the film promises wonder, beauty, possibility, and then it twists that promise into a nightmare where desire itself becomes the trap. You feel the pull immediately, the sense that curiosity might be the most fatal instinct of all. When the beings are brought back to Earth, the horror unfolds like a fever dream. This isn't a clean, surgical invasion. It's chaotic, sensual, and overwhelming. Energy is drained, bodies collapse, cities begin to unravel. The aliens don't kill out of rage, they consume, leaving husks behind like discarded shells. Watching this, you realize how intimate the threat feels. It's not about territory, it's about essence. What would you be without the force that animates you? The film's most unsettling power lies in its atmosphere. London becomes unrecognizable, drowning in panic and silence. Streets once filled with life now echo with desperation. The apocalypse doesn't arrive with a bang, it spreads like a sickness, turning people against themselves. Fear, lust, and survival blur together until morality feels optional. Have you ever noticed how quickly order disappears when basic instincts take over? At the center of it all is the female alien, mesmerizing, emotionless, and impossibly calm. She doesn't chase, she invites. Her presence asks a disturbing question. Would you willingly give yourself up if the price was ecstasy? The film forces you to confront the darker side of desire, the part that wants release, even if it means annihilation. That tension lingers in every encounter, making you complicit in the horror. What truly elevates Lifeforce is its ambition. It refuses to stay grounded. Science fiction bleeds into gothic horror, cosmic mythology, and apocalyptic fantasy. Vampirism is reimagined not as a curse, but as a biological process on a galactic scale. Humanity isn't special here, it's a resource. And once you accept that, the story becomes deeply unsettling. How comforting is the idea that we matter, when the universe might disagree. By the final act, the film abandons restraint entirely. It becomes wild, operatic, and unashamedly excessive. Some scenes feel surreal, others almost biblical. You're no longer watching a story, you're experiencing a collapse. And when it ends, you're left oddly drained, as if the movie itself took something from you. Lifeforce doesn't just scare you, it intoxicates you, then punishes you for enjoying it. It asks a haunting question. Is survival worth it if it costs you your humanity? So tell me, did Lifeforce disturb you because of its horror, or because it made destruction feel beautiful? And if something promised you transcendence at a terrible price, would you resist, or surrender? Share your thoughts below, before the hunger returns. 10. Communion, 1989. A writer searches for answers to strange encounters, but what if remembering the truth is more terrifying than forgetting it? Communion doesn't grab you by the throat. It invites you in, calmly, almost gently, and then slowly dismantles your sense of safety. From the beginning, it feels intimate, like someone sitting across from you late at night, lowering their voice before admitting something unbelievable. This isn't a story about invasion. It's about intrusion, the kind that slips past locked doors and settles inside your memory. The film follows a man who isn't looking for aliens. He's looking for understanding. Strange events plague his life: missing time, fragmented recollections, images that surface without warning. At first, he doubts himself, and so do we. Stress, imagination, fear. We've all explained things away like that, haven't we? But as the pieces begin to surface, denial becomes harder to maintain. Something happened, something real, and it didn't ask permission. What makes Communion deeply unsettling is its psychological honesty. The fear isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, awkward, and deeply personal. The alien encounters aren't framed as action set pieces, but as moments of profound vulnerability. Being watched, being studied, being exposed. The visitors don't rage or attack, they observe with eerie curiosity. Like children pulling wings off insects just to see what happens. How do you protect yourself from something that doesn't even see you as a threat? The film's tone drifts between wonder and terror, often in the same scene. There's an unsettling innocence to the aliens, especially the now infamous visitors, with their wide eyes and almost playful demeanor. And that's exactly why they're so disturbing. They don't feel evil, just indifferent. Imagine trying to explain your fear to something that doesn't understand fear at all. Would that make it less frightening, or far worse? Memory becomes the true battleground. Hypnosis sessions peel back layers of repression, revealing moments the mind tried desperately to bury. Watching this process feels invasive, almost uncomfortable, as if you're witnessing something too private. The film asks an uncomfortable question. How much of who we are is shaped by what we choose not to remember? And what happens when those memories refuse to stay hidden? There's no triumphant resolution here. No clear answers. Communion ends the way it lives, ambiguously. You're left unsure what to believe, but certain of one thing. The experience changed him. And maybe it changed you too. The fear doesn't fade when the credits roll. It lingers in late-night thoughts and half-remembered dreams. Communion isn't about aliens arriving on Earth. It's about what happens when reality slips. Just enough to make you question your own mind. It suggests that truth isn't always empowering. Sometimes it's destabilizing. So let me ask you, would you want to remember an encounter like this if it shattered your sense of reality? Or is forgetting the only way to stay sane? And if something visited you in the night, would you even trust yourself to know? Share your thoughts below. Some truths don't stay buried forever. And now, after Communion fades into that uneasy silence, we're left alone with a simple question. What if the scariest alien horror isn't invasion, but realization? These films didn't just show us monsters from the stars, they whispered doubts into our minds. Doubts that still linger when the lights go out. Which one stayed with you the longest? And why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you felt that chill tonight, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the next encounter is always closer than you think.